So then now that we have talked about how you maximize your profits, if you're a monopolist or a price setter in general, let's look at a couple examples of that. So let's say that we have our demand given by this graph here. So based on this demand, and we have our marginal revenue, which at the same intercept falls twice as much. You have your marginal cost, which is also your supply, and you have your average cost curve. So we have a couple points here. So where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, okay, that is where you maximize your profits. At that point, you find one thing, and you find one thing only. You find the profit maximizing output level. All right, so you go to this point here, marginal revenue equals marginal cost. That tells you how much you need to produce to maximize your profits. Now, in order to determine a price for that, you go up until you hit your demand, because this is the point where you'll set a price that people will want to buy 3 units. And so the profit maximizing price is 14. Now, if you also look at that quantity, you want to find out what the average cost is, you go up where you hit your average cost curve, and that is at 10. That is the average cost when you're producing 3 units. And so if we do this, profit, quantity times price minus average cost, you will find that the profit here is going to be the quantity, which is 3, times price, which is 14, minus the average cost, which is 10. And so your profit is going to be 3 times 4. And so your profit is going to be $12. Okay. Now, to be more specific with some of these, 3 is your profit maximizing output level. 14 is your profit maximizing price. 12 is the average cost at the profit maximizing level of output. And so with all that, $12 is the maximum possible profit that this firm can achieve. Let's look at another example. Not looking at graph form per se, but looking at equations. So here we have a firm is facing a demand where price equals minus Q plus 42. Okay. Now, you don't have the marginal revenue here. You need that. Okay, that is always key because you maximize your profit, or marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So when you don't have it, I taught you the trick for it, your marginal revenue is going to have the same intercept as the demand, but it's going to have double the slope. So the slope of the demand is minus 1 times 2 minus 2. So your marginal revenue minus 2Q plus 42. And so if we break this down, you maximize your profits where your marginal revenue equals your marginal cost. Marginal revenue minus 2Q plus 42. Marginal cost, we're saying it's just constant at 2. And so we have, if we subtract 2 from both sides, subtract 2Q from both sides, we get 2Q equals 40. And so Q equals, Q star equals 20. That is the profit maximizing output level. To find the price that you're going to set, all right, you just plug that into the demand. And so your price is going to equal, plug in your demand, which is minus Q minus 20 plus 42. And so your price is going to be 22. And that's your profit maximizing price. What about your average cost? To find your average cost, that is not given here. Okay? So think about that for a second. You don't have your average cost. Now you can go through and do total revenue, price times quantity minus total cost, and you have the equation here. Or you could just find the total cost equation here. So, the average cost equation. So your total cost is 2Q plus 10. And to find any average, it's the total divided by the quantity. And so you have 2Q plus 10 divided by Q. And so 2Q plus 10 divided by 2, or divided by Q. You get 2Q divided by Q, which is just 2, plus 10 divided by Q. And if you then plug your quantity in here, you will have 2 plus 10 over 20. And so your average cost is 2.5. Right? And so that is your average cost of the profit maximizing output level. And so when we go through and do this, you find that your profit is going to equal quantity times price minus average cost, which is the quantity is 20, price is 22, and your average cost is 2.5. And that's going to equal 20. 20 minus 2.5 is 19.5. And 20 times 19.5 is going to be 390. Okay? And that is your maximum possible profit, okay, that this firm can achieve. And if we go through and graph this here, so let's just take our graph here and we'll put it here. And so we have our demand, which is minus Q plus 42. And so it's going from 42 down to 42. All right, let's make some of this out of here. And our marginal revenue is minus 2Q plus 42. So it's going to also start at 42, but it's going to go down twice as fast. It's going to be 21. Our marginal cost, we are saying, is just constant at 2. And so it's going to be just one straight line no matter how much we produce. And it's going to be right here at 2. So where your marginal revenue equals your marginal cost, sorry, it's down here. Marginal revenue equals marginal cost. We found the quantity was 20. So not quite to scale here, but pretty close. And so we also found our average cost to be 2 plus 10 over Q. And so this is probably not going to be completely to scale, but the point. And so here's our average cost. And so we're going to go up to where that hits your quantity. And then to find the price, right, at the quantity, oh, I got that. At the quantity of 20, you go up to where it hits your demand equation. And we found that to be 20.22. And so we'll put that in there. And we found the average cost to be 2.5. And so when you look at all that, your profit, quantity times price minus average cost, it's going to be this area right in here. And so that is going to be your profit. So again, when you're looking at a monopoly, maximize profits where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. At that point, you get one thing and one thing only. You get the profit maximizing output level. Once you find that output level, you set the price to get people to want to buy that amount by plugging that quantity into the demand equation. And to find the average cost, you plug it into the average cost equation. And so from that, you get a profit maximizing price, profit maximizing output level, and you'll get, when you go through all the steps, you will get the maximum possible profit that this monopolist can achieve.